Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Relationship Circle podcast. I'm Beck Thompson, and this podcast is all about showing you how to stop running in circles, ditch those dating games, and let your inner compass lead the way. We're back for season 3. Oh my goodness, it's been a hot minute, and I am so excited to be back with you all. I'm going to dive deep into where I've been in these past many months. My brain can't do the maths, but I am so excited to be back for season 3. We have some amazing guests coming up this season. I have some really cool topics that I want to dive into, some different stuff we've heard, and just really excited to be back with you all. So today I actually want to talk about overwhelm, which is what I think led me to end season 2 and have a break from the podcast. And I think it's so relevant because it transpires into dating consistently with people. So let me take you back to where I was last year when I was ending season 2 of the podcast and I was feeling incredibly overwhelmed. I feel like life just got on top of me. And now even reflecting on where I was in October last year, I'm not even sure what constituted the overwhelm. And so much of what it was in my mind. I felt like I could not catch a breath. Like it felt really overwhelming. It felt like my program was going really well, but it was busy. I felt like I was taking on every facet of my business myself. And if you're a business owner, you know that can be exhausting. You know that can be a lot. And then I suppose on top of that, life just happens, and I felt really overwhelmed. That is the best way to describe what was happening. And so in those moments when I felt overwhelmed, firstly, I went into the overwhelm and I let it take over. Like, I'm going to be super honest. It took over my life and I didn't know what else to do, but really pull back from everything. I pulled back from a lot of things that I was doing and kind of like really stripped back my life and my connections and the work that I was doing in order to get clarity on how to move forward. And I think I fell a little bit too much into the overwhelm. So if I was to do that again, I would not do that. When I then had the capacity and the space, that's when I noticed the one thing that I had control over in all of this overwhelm was my thoughts and how powerful your thoughts are. So that's what I want to talk about with you today, because it feels like I've been on this intense learning course and I feel like I knew all of this before, but maybe I didn't put into action as much as I should have. So when I let my thoughts overwhelm me and the thoughts around my head was, this is too much, I'm not coping, maybe I should just get a job, this is really exhausting, I can't fit it all in. Like, there were thoughts that weren't really helping me. So I always say to clients, like, are these thoughts or beliefs working for you? Because if they are, cool, keep them. But if they're not, let's reassess them and see what we can change. And it is so different how I think now, how I operate now, and how I use my thoughts to create my reality. And so I really want to talk with you about that today. So like, have a think if life is overwhelming you. And sometimes I get talking to people and they're like, I really want to date. I really want to meet the love of my life, but I feel overwhelmed about the process. And so that often means that then we go into dating or into relationships with these thoughts and ideas that like dating's going to be really hard. This is going to be tough. It's a numbers game. You have to get through so many dates before you meet the right one. It's exhausting. And these thoughts give you what is happening in real life. So you have these examples to back up these thoughts, and therefore it's like this cycle that you get stuck in, right? But what if you could change your thoughts around that? What if the thoughts could be like, life is easy. Things come to me when I am in the right space. Like, life happens for me. These examples of what is coming to me, like, everything is easy. I literally just got off the call with a client who has got this incredible job opportunity, and it's come to her. It has literally come to her because she's done the work on her self-worth. So she did the internal work, which showed her external life changing. And so that is the important thing. So in this break that I had of between season 2 and season 3 of the podcast, what I really dived deep into was Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. And if you don't know him, I urge you to go look him up because I'm obsessed with him. And it was actually a client that got me into him. And so I love how so many of the clients that I work with inform the work that I do on myself as well. I'm such a lifelong learner. And so much of what he talks about is how our thoughts create our reality and how what we think creates what happens in the outside world. So I already knew this logically in my brain, and I've done parts of it throughout my life, but it wasn't until I really got brought to my knees with this overwhelm last year that I decided to dive deep into what this looks like for me. And so I want to talk to you about this. So our brain does not know the difference between a real thought and an imaginary thought. And when I was talking, I had group coaching with the girls in Love Unlocked Academy last night, and I said, it's so fun. Like for me anyway, I'm in this space where it's so fun for me to imagine the dream life that I want. And as though it's happening now. That's the biggest learning I've had around manifestation recently, is that you will bring into your life what you believe is happening now. So for example, right now I'm wanting a new car and a baby. So I imagine every day that those things are already in my life. When I'm lying in bed, falling to sleep, as I'm waking up, as I'm driving the car, I imagine these things and I'm bringing this reality into my life that is already here because my brain does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So that is really powerful. And how fun is it that we get to create these scenarios in our brain, right? Like how fun is it that you get to fall asleep imagining your dream life? A beautiful client that I have who manifested her partner last year, she imagined him, she told me last night on group coaching, she imagined him cuddling, spooning with her in bed, cuddling up to her in bed, and she imagined what that felt like. So that's such a key part of this as well. It's not just your thoughts, but what do those thoughts make you feel? How do you feel in those moments? So she imagined him spooning her in bed, and now that he's here and he's like a real human, that is one of his favorite things to do. And it's just so beautiful that she really felt what that felt like and brought that into her life. So I know sometimes this can be tricky when you're in this state of overwhelm or stress or fear or anxiety. It can be really hard to switch from that into what I'm talking about now. Sometimes our brain goes like, oh, that's too much of a gap. I can't make it that far yet. So what do you need to do? Because I was there, I get it. It's really hard to pull yourself out of that hole, but it's possible. I absolutely want you to know that it's possible. Because stress is just a state of mind, right? And the fear, that's just the thoughts. So what you need to do is first, and I feel like I'm repeating myself because I said this consistently on season 1 and season 2 of the podcast, but become aware of your thoughts. When I became aware of my thoughts, and I proclaim to be a very positive person. I believe that I'm positive about life. I have positive thoughts, blah, 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 blah. When I really listened to the thoughts that were happening inside my head, they were not positive, and it shocked me. It was wild. As I became more aware of the thoughts that were happening in the background, in my subconscious, that were happening without me even realizing, that changed everything for me. I was like, whoa, I now see why I got to this stage that I got to, because these thoughts that I was having were not great and they were not serving me. So become aware of the thoughts. Then I want you to interrupt the pattern, interrupt the thoughts that are happening. If you have a thought, dating's going to be hard. Oh, I noticed myself saying it. I'm going to stop saying it. It's not serving me, right? Like interrupt the thought. I don't need you to automatically replace it with a new positive thought. That's often your brain doesn't know what's happening there either. But interrupt the thought, get the awareness happening, and ensure that your brain knows this thought is not working for me. This thought is not productive. It's not leading me towards what I want. So I'm going to stop thinking this thought, right? Like that's the biggest thing you can do in that moment. And then I believe what has worked for me really well is to shift my mind into a state of gratitude. Because when I feel gratitude in my heart, in my body, in my mind, it shifts my whole being. And I believe there is always something to be grateful for. Like having worked in trauma and homelessness, I have such an easy gratitude radar because there's always something to be thankful for. I'm thankful I've got a roof over my head. I'm thankful that I've got legs that I can walk, and I'm thankful that the sun is out today. I'm thankful that I can talk to you beautiful humans. I'm thankful that I get to hear your beautiful words. So there's always something to be grateful for. And that feeling of gratitude really, when you feel it, it lights up your whole being. And so if you can move from interrupting these thoughts into this state of gratitude, which doesn't have to be linked to the thought, right? So like the thought could be like dating's really hard. Then if you interrupt the thought, get into this state of like gratitude around like, oh, my life is wonderful. Like I'm so lucky to have a beautiful kid. I'm so lucky to live where I live. Like what are you grateful for about your life? And really feel it in your bones. What are you grateful for? Then I want you to reprogram it with new thoughts when you're in the state of gratitude. So the feeling in your body has to align with the thought. So you cannot say, I mean, you can, but it's not going to work. You cannot say, I love dating, and you're in your body, you're like, dating's so hard. Everything's rough. Life is hard, right? So like the state of, if you can get your body into the state of gratitude and feeling those positive feelings in your body, and then say the belief, the new thought or belief that you're going to get into, then you'll help you move into that. And honestly, it's just a case of repeating, because you can't be grateful for 5 minutes of the day and then go into the rest of the day whinging and hating your life. Like it doesn't work that way. You're going to get what you think of the majority of the time. So if you're going to do this work, commit to doing the work and do it seriously and catch yourself out and pull yourself up. One of the most beautiful things I love about coaching is that I can catch you on your thoughts. I can catch you on what you're saying. That's why I have a coach, so she can catch me on what I'm saying, right? Like it's really important. So gratitude, really, really important. Being aware of like how things feel in your body, what thoughts are happening. Just become more and more and more aware of how you are, who you're being, what life is being like for you and what that's resulting in. Like take ultimate responsibility for your life and see how it shifts. This is really, really important. So like do an audit throughout your day. Have a stop, have a check-in and think, how am I thinking? How am I feeling? How am I being? Like, what is happening for me right now? Because that will lead to you becoming more and more aware. So overwhelm is not a permanent state of being. It certainly wasn't for me. At the time, it absolutely felt like it was going to be. I felt stuck. Stuck was a word that I used constantly, which is funny because this is a word my clients use constantly. But I wasn't there forever. And when I realized that I could get myself out of that hole and it was my responsibility to dig myself out of that hole, my whole world shifted. So I want you to do this for yourself. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like, I don't know how I'm going to get anywhere, then please become aware of your thoughts and make the change. So excited for season 3. I cannot wait for more and more episodes to come out with you guys, and 2025 is going to rock. There's been some amazing things happen with my clients already, and I am just so excited. Please tell me your wins. Tell me when you find love. Tell me how you've shifted your mindset. Tell me when you put boundaries in place. I'm so excited for you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you got value from this, please don't hesitate to share with a friend so they can get value from this too. And don't forget to hit follow so you don't miss an episode. It's also how I keep this podcast alive.
Audience exclusive.